we have that timing down pat, eh? Yeah, both. Oh, you're on mute still, brother. You're on mute still.
Always forget to unmute myself, but yeah, we got the timing
Yeah,
down pat, man. But I feel like
yeah.
that minute, Dan, I'm like rushing to go like reshare it on LinkedIn, make sure everything's going right on YouTube. It's like it is
Shit,
what
I
it
forgot
is.
about all that. See, I
It's
should.
all
I gotta start thinking about that. I gotta start thinking about that. Anyways, how was the weekend, brother? Good.
I am flying, brother. I am friggin' flying. This weekend was one of the best weekends we have ever had. We'll get into it from there, but I'm just flying, man. I feel so good. Momentum is such an amazing thing, and I'm excited to talk to you, everybody, about that today.
Yeah,
What about you, buddy?
definitely,
What'd you do?
definitely.
What'd you do?
Great weekend, man. I finished off quite a few tasks that I had to complete out back.
My man.
Was able to sit down and relax. My wife and I put on the TV outside and watched a couple of shows of Mexico life. Yeah, might be having that whole future in the sun. We'll see. Next 5-year plan, see how that goes. I'm still, as you know, I'm still an avid snowmobiler, so I can't quite leave the Great White North yet.
Hey,
But
man, you gotta have two homes, man. Two home life, man. That's 6 months here, 6 months there life.
yeah, there's something to be said about it, I guess, and it's that, like, we, of course, did the whole talking about, you get it and then you rent it out for 6-7 months, and then, go there for the winter time and that kind of stuff, and I figure, realistically with me, Ryan, I'm the type of guy where if I can't do it all in, I'm really not interested.
Mm.
And that comes to everything like snowmobiling. If I can't go over that blind jump, and whatever happens, and I figure I'm probably 5 to 7 years away from that, where the body says, hey, listen, whoa, man, the rotator cuffs ain't going to heal like they used to, you know what I mean? So when that day happens, brother, then I stop snowmobiling, because then
Well, you'll
I
find
just
another,
can't.
well, it's like a good friend with me. We went for coffee 2 weeks ago, and he's like, you know what? There'll always be something, So let's say you replace snowmobiling, you'll find something else to replace it.
Oh yeah.
You won't just sit at your house and like kind of like
No,
not move forward and think about snowmobiling, right? It's just like with me, it's
no.
just like I forget what I feel like my life went with what it was like dance and salsa taught that stuff. Then I went into like golf, and then golf is the thing that I'm doing right now. But then like right now, I've kind of like missed out on golf, so I can like learn about like video editing and like art business and
Yeah.
things like that. So there's always gonna be something, So
And it's all an
shout out
investment.
Oh, 100%. Well, it's like, shout out to Mr. Korchinski, the late Mr. Korchinski, my grade 7 teacher. So he used to do, remember we used to do like spelling tests in class? Like he'd
Yep.
say a word and you got to write down like 10 words or whatever. Mr. Korchinski would always like be like, he would get canceled, by the way, in these times, but he would always be like denouncing. So the word would be like budget. Some of you guys don't even budget for tomorrow. And that's the sentence that he would do. And then he would always say, like, in life you get what you put in and not what you take out. He's like, you can't go to the bank with an empty check and expect to reap millions. And that's really stuck with me. Obviously, I'm mentioning that now, so it's like you said, Dan, it's an investment. Anything you do, whether it be time, whether it be money, look at everything as an investment. You and I talked a little bit off
Mm.
air a bit about when we started looking at things that we wanted in terms of how long we had to work for it, right? So it's just like, hey, if I want like that new like MacBook that's out there, and then I realized, okay, well, that's going to cost me 3-4 hours or X amount of loads or something like that from there. So when we
Hmm.
kind of start thinking like that as investments, then I feel like we start to level up, my man.
Yep, I agree with you, brother. I first started that probably 3 years into the business. I wanted my first brand new car, and I
Mm,
looked at it, and it was a Durango RT, and I said, I want it. And at that point, I mean, I was just turning 18, um, and I was like, okay, well, that's a huge expense. And I just looked at it and I said, okay, so in order to get that car, what do I really need?
mm,
Like, how many more loads do I need a week in order to be able to afford that car? And it's the way I've done everything moving forward. And I actually learned it back in the day from Russell Brunson when he had .com secrets, like way before ClickFunnels existed or anything. And what he did, he was talking about reoccurring membership sites. And he said, here's the thing, like, if I want that new Lexus, that's $700 a month, and my membership is $100 a month. In order to get that new Lexus, I need about 14 new members next
there
month
we,
to
there we
stay,
go. Yeah.
because I got to pay taxes and all that. So he goes, I put everything at a 50% and I need X amount of new. And you know what? I think as a sales rep in today's market, that's the way you should look at it, especially with the prices of everything. Okay, so what do I need? And if I get, If something I want is $1,000 a month, I need to be bringing home $2,000 or $2,500 a month to cover that.
Yeah.
And then if we take that perspective with everything we do, we can scale to heights because it's called slow, like conscious, sustainable growth.
Yes.
And our lives grow that way. Our business grows that way. And it's just understanding if I need this, this is where I need to be before I buy it. And you know what? It's a great success celebration, gift to yourself for doing that. And if you do that all the way for a house, for a new vehicle, for a vacation, in Q1 and 2, I need to make X amount more so I can go on vacation in Q4,
Yeah.
Q3, and then just keep reciprocating that all around. And it's like the confidence competence loop, but it's just in a different manner, right? Just keep building it.
Just keep building it step by step. I actually do something similar, but I kind of like do I attain those numbers a little bit higher. My rule of thumb, and I think I actually learned this from, I think it was either Jay-Z or 50 Cent. And I've kind of adapted it in my life where he kind of said, like, if you can't pay for it 5 times, then you can't afford it. So I go with the 5 time method. So not the twice, because I'm like, you know what, 5 times. It's like the whole it's not relevant now because housing is so expensive. But I remember,
Yeah.
like, when my parents were around, they kind of used to do like, okay, rent should take up only 20% of your income, right? Like now we got people at 50, 60, 70. Once you kind of get there, you're in danger. You're maybe about 2 missed payments from being homeless, or 3 payments or something like that. So
Yep.
I look at it as the 5-way, the 5x. So I'm like, if I really, really want something, I really have to like 5x it, because 20% to me over 50%, that's a big number, right? So if I'm using 20% of my income, then I'm able to kind of play around with that. And then I still got 80 to kind of build more and figure out what the next thing is. And like we kind of said, we're not like Thanos, where we got the Infinity Gauntlet and collecting stones and collecting all these things. Like, I'm kind of a minimalist, but I get things that are going to make my things more productive. Like I had to get this new iPhone because I wanted to like do better videos. I had to get like the software and all that stuff so I can edit a lot better, and just different things like that, right? So yeah.
Well, I mean, that's an investment in you and in your future. I think those investments, like myself, I do one major purchase a year. So I've kind of put myself on this plan with Apple and Affirm Pay, where every month my budget's 150. And when one thing's done, they send me a message and saying, okay, this thing's getting paid off next month. What do you want next? And so I'm always upgrading my tools to keep me in the higher speeds. Like, I mean, my old computer, I would do like an After Effects video that was, a minute long, would take like 3 hours. Now it takes like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So to me, it's that better productivity.
Yes.
In getting things done. And that's an investment. It's like salespeople out there. If you're not investing in training programs and ways to better yourself, you're actually falling behind.
100%. And that leads
to
you're getting behind. That leads perfectly, man. What, like, you and I invested, Damon, our amazing friend and partner, we invested in something on Saturday, like when we could have been doing other things. Like I had a barbecue to go to, I had things to go to. So I'll let you lead with that, Dan. Like, it's so. Were you gonna go with that too? That the segue? Wait,
I was actually
my bad. My bad.
No. I wasn't going to talk about the Saturday investment. Which makes total sense. So Hermosi put on probably one of the greatest go-giver experiences for people, right? So if you any of you watched his book launch on the weekend, Alex Hermosi's new book launch for 100 million leads, one thing's that is hands down that you could see. Okay, so one, he spent money on ads to drive people to his thing. He got, and there's a few things that I was kind of like, interesting. He got 19,000 affiliates that only generated 131,000 leads. So 19,000 to 131,000. That is actually a really low number when it comes to affiliates. Because if you look at some of the affiliates, I don't know how many people you're connected to in the digital marketing space, but probably 5 or 6 of the people that I follow were promoting Alex Hormozi's stuff.
Yeah.
And the ones that I know of, like the Billie Jeans of the world, the Brendan Burchards of the world, these guys, they have millions of people on their list. So it was interesting when he said 100. To me, that number was very low. I expected it to be more like the last Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi launch, where I think it was 3.4 million people got brought in by JVs, right? So when you look at like the joint ventures affiliates, that to me was really low. But he put on the greatest show of go-givership that I've ever seen, because it was his book launch. And he didn't do very much teaching at all. He showed you proof of what he did, how he did it, and how it related to his book. So he closed that gap, if you will, Ryan. And then he went on to deliver one of the greatest stacks and closes I've seen in a very long time. That stack and close was originated by Russell Brunson in Expert Secrets about 8 years ago. And Alex Hormozi is actually a big ClickFunnels user. He's, the Two Comma Club. He's the Two Comma Club X. He's been on stage many times at ClickFunnels events. So when he started the stack, I was like, oh, here it comes. But the way he did the stack and close was astronomical. And then the best part was, it's funny, right? Because I'm sitting there and I'm watching and I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm expecting 1997 all day long, 1997. Yeah. And then when he said free, and here's the big thing. So, and this is what is driving our week this week, right? Is we talk about content. Alex Hormozi gave away, got to be well over $15,000 worth of stuff to everybody that was on. So the 100,000+ people that were on.
Yeah.
Why did he give it away for free? So he did that because his business is helping companies that are doing from 5 to 15 million grow and scale. Guess what's going to happen when those 300, 400,000 people that were on yesterday take his course, apply the information? 10%, maybe, probably even 5%, will actually rise to those heights.
Yeah.
Out of that 5%, when your business is doing 5 to 10 million and you want to take it to the next level, what are you going to do? You're going to call acquisition.com and you're going to hire them to take it. Like, it was genius what he
marketing.
did.
Yeah, it was a marketing 101.
Genius marketing, genius content. Like, again, this week is all about content. Every single piece of his content, he never sells. He shows you what to do. And he says, oh, and by the way, if you're a company that generates between 5 and 15 million, we're the people to help you scale. Here's the proof. Here's the proof. Here's proof. Here's proof. Whereas how many people, especially now LinkedIn's going to be the big one that we talk about this week, because I don't know. I shouldn't say that, right, Ryan? Because there's a lot of people on Instagram and stuff that run their business through Instagram instead of LinkedIn. Like, you don't even see them on LinkedIn. But how many people are running, content or ads saying, hey, this is what we do. Come check us out. Come buy our product. Come do this. Use us, right? Like, just wasting space in their timeline and in their day because they're not adding value. It was a display that I have not seen probably in 5 years, 6 years, since Russell Brunson did 4.8 million in 90 minutes on Grant Cardone's 10X stage.
Yeah, it was one of the most. So for everybody, I want to set the stage for everybody who hasn't watched it yet. So like Dan said, this was for a launch for his book, and the one thing that really stuck with me, Dan, is that he used the principles from his book to sell this webinar, and kind of made it there happen. And I was watching it in real time, and all of us were watching in real time, but I was really paying attention to like the comments there. So for everybody who's watching out there, the audience, I want you guys to understand this. So he was talking about his book, and then he started talking about like this course that he had. And it went from like he's going through the course, and then you could see the comments, you could see the crowd change from, oh my God, this is just another Grant Cardone, this is just another marketing scheme, this is another Ty Lopez, like the guy who's in his like Ferrari and stuff like that. And he started from 12,000, then he went to 4,000, then he went to 2,000, and then he's like, wait a minute. And then he made it $0. But then to see that audience flip, it made me realize two things, Dan. That the first one was like, how ungrateful are these people, first and foremost, right? He's been pumping out all this free content. His book, 100 Million Offers, is only like 99 cents for the Kindle version and things like that. So he's never truly asked you for anything, and he's given you your true like business like skills and all those things. Like he hasn't lied to us, and he hasn't like had a call to action. Like if you were to type in Alex Hormozy and type in scam, you wouldn't find anything. You'd find people backing him up saying that he's a real deal. You can't do that with like guys like Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone. For each to teach their own, right? But if you were to take their name, insert scam, and just do a Google search, you'll find stuff about them. But the
Yeah.
one thing that I loved about this masterclass was that he had the audience in his palm. You know, throughout the whole time, everybody was like, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. Like you just said, you had your wallet ready. And what I love too, what you just said, Dan, was that his business acquisition.com has helped companies really scale their business with their help. He moved all of his things. So the course that we got, the audiobook that we got, even to purchase the books, he didn't direct any of us to go to Amazon and buy the book. I don't even think you could buy the book, the hardcover, on Amazon. He directed everybody to acquisition.com. And Dan, I don't know if you had a chance to actually go to acquisition.com. The first thing when you go to acquisition.com, it asks you a two-pronged question. Are you a business looking to scale? Or I think it was another question like that. So you're putting in that mindset already that I owe Alex. You know, he's giving me all these free tools. And once I kind of develop this and I build my book of business, I owe him, you know, I at least give him the first right of it. It's like somebody who opens the door for you, you go through, but there's another door. So you're like, shit, let me go get that door for them. Right. That like reciprocal action that we all have in human nature. And when I was like looking at his content, what he said too was that he didn't make and his new content for the launch, he made extended content and did his existing content. So he could have easily said, hey, my existing content is costing me about 3-4 hours a week. We're just going to do 3-4 hours a week of just $100 million leads. But what he did is that he continued with his target market, and then he made content for that. And the one thing that really stoked at me, because I was like, holy shit, he got me here, was like he went and he asked all these like famous podcasters, hey, can I be on your podcast? That was a part of like his strategy. And then I did realize, I was like, I would see this guy so much on like YouTube and not on his own channel. Like Lewis Howes, he was on there. The David Ramsey, he was everywhere. Hormozy
Yep.
was everywhere, and that was the launch of Mosey Media as well. That I kind of know, but that just a masterclass, you know. And I think even myself, I'm literally in his course right now this morning, and I'm like taking notes and things like that about content itself specifically. But anybody, enough about it, but everybody who's like out there, go check it out. It's one of the coolest things. So Dan, I want to ask you this. As we're talking about content today is like, you know, power up your sales pipeline, discover the might of modern content. There's two ways you can go about this to let people know about your business, that one-to-one and that one-to-many. And I kind of do want to talk about that. Dan, for your logistics business and for people watching out there who are in that role and they're looking to get more business, be outside of that vanilla, hey, I work for company X, we have X amount of trucks, we do these lanes, we do cross-border, we do all this stuff. How does somebody develop a sales pipeline with content one-to-one to, let's say, shipping managers that they want to work with?
So, I mean, here's something, and we're just starting this, Ryan. So I'll preface this with, in no which way, shape, or form do Ryan and I think we're 100% experts on this. Like, there's people out there that are really good at this, but the idea or the method is this: one, you produce content that shows the world you're not just a salesperson. I think that's your primary goal, because here's the thing: if the last 15 people we've brought on that have talked about LinkedIn and said LinkedIn is your new resume, what is happening is you are connecting with the traffic manager. The traffic manager is definitely looking you up if there's an interest. Okay. Use the jab, 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 right hook method that Gary Vee talks about, that Alex Hormozy does, that every content creator does. Okay. They give and give and give. And when you give, the inbound comes. You know, you look at one guy in particular, Alex Sheridan, who's on LinkedIn. It's pretty much the only platform. I think he's on YouTube too, but his main channel is LinkedIn. He creates video content called himself Unleash the Creative. Okay. So he creates video content that help link people on LinkedIn attract leads. So there's a specific format for this. When you go out, you do not talk about your company, talk about some of the challenges and solutions in the industry. Give people something like tangible that they can walk away with. You know, this is why Ryan and I put so many tools up on our website, because it's tangible for you to use today, and make that content tangible. No call to action, no nothing, just good content. You've seen the content that Ryan and I have put out over the last couple of weeks. We're starting to talk the walk, right? It's the only talk that matters is when you talk the walk. And it's like putting out the content. Okay, what is this going to solve? What are some of the challenges? And this could be, I mean, you could take this with challenges you do with your present customers and just not mention names. Hey, you ever had this challenge? Here's an idea to think about. And don't think about it as giving away your best stuff for somebody else to do to another customer. Because what it is when you have it down in video, in writing form, in audio podcast, doesn't matter. When you have that content down and a traffic manager goes, or a logistic, anyone you're chasing, whoever your prospect is, and they go out and they type in your name, typically that LinkedIn is the first one that comes up. And then they click on it and then they just go for 3 minutes and see all your content. And they're like, this person's more than just a salesperson trying to get in my wallet. He or she is actually helping the industry. And I think that attracts people more than the standard salesperson. Because, and again, Ryan, I think a lot of people are jaded because of the last couple of years. Reason being, regardless if it's you, the broker, the forwarder, the carrier, customers have paid a lot more. And every customer, even if they understand the industry, I believe will question, right? Why are we the ones that are out? Because as a broker, right? Think about it. As a broker, I need $1,500 this week. 2 weeks ago, I needed $1,400.
Yeah.
I'm making my money. As a carrier, they're going to negotiate, so they're making money. Who are the people that are losing the most? During COVID, think about this for a second. Who lost the most? It's every company that had to spend 2 and 3 and 4 times the amount on their logistics. They lost. Yeah. You raise your hand, one broker that lost over the last 3 years. None of you are. One carrier, none of you. It's the customer that is always losing. And because of that, there's going to be some jadedness with some people you speak to. So give. Show the industry that you have more than just, hey, I'm a salesperson and I'm looking to move your freight, to give to the entire world. That would be what I would say, Ryan.
100%. I just want to add to that as well. When everybody's kind of looking out there, there's that art of what else does that person know. So like you kind of mentioned, when you kind of post content and you talk about one idea, obviously not mention the company, there's going to be an intrigue factor from that shipping manager, logistics manager, saying that, okay, he knows that topic. What else does he know? This is worth a call and worth a discussion. So for me, like I said, I've been really watching Hermosi, and what he kind of does is, like, he gives out all his like stuff, and whoever uses it. It's like those, like, if anybody who has TikTok, I know, shout out to Scott this morning. I know he's big on TikTok. When you kind of see like those food recipes, you're like, oh, I really got to try it, and then it just stays saved, right? So there's only a certain handful of people who are actually going to take action on it, and those are the people that you really, really want. So those are the same thing with the shipping managers. Like, I'll be full transparent, you Dan. There's one shipping manager, like, well, I'll say it, I don't really care, but there's one shipping manager who kind of they went from, I think, customer service to becoming a shipping manager, different companies. So reached out and we started chatting, and there was a fit in terms of like lanes, all that stuff and everything like that. And then they ghosted me. And then I see them all the time posting on LinkedIn, okay, lanes about this or learning about different things. And I'm like, that's kind of karma. You're trying to be transactional at that point because, we've offered our services. The respectful thing would be that, hey, yes or no, and when you give a yes and then kind of go ghost, it's just like, well, then I see the habits that you were building. And then I realize I don't really want to be, to be honest, I don't even know why I'm connected with them anymore, to be honest, but because I take that stuff personally, right? At the end of the day, it is a relationship. At the end of the day, I know people say, oh, don't take that person in the next one, but it's just like the character that I kind of see. It might not be the character of the person because I can't judge a person based off that, but I can judge the actions. I can only base off that. So when it comes to creating content, we want to give value. As you kind of see, our content's gone up, but we're trying to just educate the public. That's why we did the book club Fridays. We might have a different audience. Somebody who was like, you know what, I'm going through some stuff right now. It's been a hard time for me in logistics. I just really want to read a book and get my mindset right. Join us on Fridays for that, for Power of Now. If you want to look at personal development, we're going to pull up 2 clips on every Thursday on our show. Join up for that, right? So it's not a situation like, Ideally, we'd like everybody to tune in every day. We know that's not feasible because, everything, life happens with that. But I think with your content, one thing that I've kind of learned as well with, like, wanting to power up our sales pipeline. There's been three people that I've seen so far have said the same exact thing, and it's really do shit and then tell people about the shit you did and then repeat. And I saw that on Hormozy said that. I saw that on, what is it, there's Skillshare. There was a course that I kind of signed up for, and it really comes down to it, like, talk. Dan, you always talk about being authentic, so I think when you're talking to customers, stuff like that, do the things, like, let's say you had 10 calls and they all went really bad. Not to say, like, oh, pull out a camera and do like that, but record it. If you don't want to be face to face, if you want to do audio, record it, because there's going to be another person who's going through that. I told a good friend yesterday, hopefully she's watching this morning, that your gift to the world, there's an audience for that waiting for you to reach them. So don't stop your dreams to kind of work at a minimum wage job or anything like that, just because you feel like, like, I'm progressing here further. Go with your dreams, because, like we kind of said, like, even with our show, with anybody kind of show, and just any sales rep out there is a customer who's craving to have your services right now. So don't stop.
No, and that content that you provide could be the gateway to the conversation. It really could. Ryan, you mentioned something and I had it in my head, and then as I was listening to all the other amazing things you were talking about, I totally forgot, but it was it'll come back to me. But I go back to the Alex Hormozy event, right? The amount of money spent, if you looked at the location he was in, that was probably 30, 40, 50 grand to rent for that time.
He did say he spent $1 million on the entire event. He made sure to make $1 million.
So he invested $1 million. And don't get me wrong, he's going to make money off the book, right? He's going to make money off the shipping. He's going to make money from those things. But here's the thing. He spent $1 million to invest in his next series of customers. That's, if you want to look at the granular nuts and bolts of it, that's exactly what he did. Because he said, here's everything you need to do $100 million in business.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I go back to what I said at the beginning. Because of that, so because of his content, because of his ability to attract people, because of his generosity to give away everything those people need to get to 5, 10, 50, $100 million in sales. Again, when you want to scale your business, who are you going to think of? You're going to think of acquisition.com. And that's the pillar of what content is about. That's why content, we named this week, content is everything. It is. And it's not just this, these little, like, with the logo that comes in and then ship. And this is what we do and this is how we do it. That's a brochure that's using up valuable space for nothing. Like, if there's shippers watching, how many of you actually read brochures back in the day? I know I sent out, back when I first started, I'm going to say probably 200 big, beautiful color brochures a week in the mail, right? Thinking, because that's what we did back then. It wasn't digital. No brochure was on a PDF. It wasn't there yet. Like, we were still using fax machines with the curly paper and handwriting load sheets with that like the paper that transfers in the middle, whatever it is, carbon paper or whatever. Like, but you're thinking, oh man, this guy wanted some information, man. I got this guy locked down. He's not. And no, it was like, it came in there like 86. I bet you 99.8% weren't even open.
Yeah.
So nobody gives a shit about your brochure. Let's call a spade a spade. It's what are you going to do for me? And so when you create content, what are you doing for the other people, the people that you want to be your ideal client? What are you doing for those people in that content? And once you know that, and you put out that content, when somebody looks you up, because you're making that effort and the outbound calls, outbound emails, you'll be easier to find. And when they find you, they'll be like, damn, this person's the real deal. Ryan, how many times have we said, we got a meeting with somebody, we go and look them up, they're like, hey, they're the real deal, we'll take this meeting.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you and I done that?
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
in the
There has to
last
be
3
clout.
weeks.
Well, it's like Alex Hormozy says, man. You gotta have. You wouldn't go to a dentist that has like crooked teeth. You wouldn't go to like like I'll never forget this. It's to everybody who's from the states. We have a chain gym here called Good Life Fitness, and they have like the market share. They have all the market share in gyms. So when they first came to Ajax, where I live, they had like a free promotion to get you in the door, right? Like we got a celebration day, so I went and checked it out. And then the guy who had me was like the guy who introduced me and stuff like that. He was a fat guy, and he wasn't like a bodybuilder like thing. Like you can tell like the guys who are big and they're bodybuilders, but this guy was fat, like double chin, all that stuff. And then my mindset, and I was only like 16, 17 at the time. I had to get my mom to actually sign it over. I was like, you know what? Like he's not the type of person that I want to be like, like that's not
Yeah.
the and not Nakuda, like I'm not trying to downplay him or anything like that, but it's just like
No, it's
that is
reality.
that's your card, your card to play the game. And it was like from there, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna think about it. And I did eventually sign up, but like not that day. Like they didn't have me for that sale. Like I probably went like a couple months after or whatever, and then like probably had like the same thing, had a different personal trainer, things like that. But you got to have that image, like that's why we kind of say like do shouldn't be, and Dan's trying to say here, be authentic with yourself. If you've never done an international shipment before, don't talk about, hey, I do a million international shipments. Be honest with it. Like I'm the person to say, hey, I don't do much international shipments, but I have an amazing team that does, who's well experienced. Can we have
Yep.
a conversation and have a discussion about that? I don't say it like I'm the expert or anything like that, because there's like the Jason Robines out there, there's the Scott Watanabe's out there, there's the Jeff Dickinsons out there that who are just gonna know more than I do. Well, then I will ever learn myself. So I think like it's just really be authentic with like your content, and don't get clickbaity. I think that's the one thing that we're kind of seeing here. Like a lot of that stuff, because that 5 seconds or that viewership that you're kind of getting right now, it doesn't really pan out at the end of the day.
No. The big thing about like if you're talking headlines, you're talking the first sentence on your LinkedIn post, where then you enter down, you go down a couple lines, so they have to push to learn, see more, or whatever. Um, you know, I believe it should be direct and to the point, and it should be a sentence that's going to resonate with the people you want to click. Right?
Yeah.
There's one. So here's the thing, and this is probably one of the conversations we're going to have a lot this week. Content is not just about content. Content is about engaging your ideal customers,
Hmm.
because it is the first step, if you will. And if you think about, the I did a video the other week about the normal sales funnel, right? And so the way I look at it is a baseball diamond. Content is the batting lineup at home plate. Okay.
Hmm.
As soon as one goes, there's always someone else to come. Like they never, if a baseball team goes through the entire lineup, they don't just stop and say, okay, like when they were kids, and they don't just stop and say, okay, your guys' turn. They keep going through the lineup. So if there's
Yeah.
no outs, it'd be consistent, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at content: is how do I line up thousands of people to get up to bat? And to get up to bat is a conversation with me to qualify them above and beyond. And if I'm noticing that I'm qualifying too much, and 8 out of 10 are that come in are not qualified, I'm producing the wrong content. If that's my channel driver, I'm saying the wrong things right at the beginning of the conversation. The emails I send, the video messages I send are consisting of the wrong message.
Hmm.
And that's the beautiful thing about content, Ryan, is you can switch it and test it and see how many people engage. And that's another thing about content. The more people that engage and the more you reply back, your prospects see that.
Yeah.
Because if they're looking you up, they see it. And so they go, wow. Just like companies, there's not a single company out there now, when they go to hire you, that don't look you up online.
Yeah. I
People want to know who they're associated with.
Dan, I got a funny story to tell you exactly with this one, and I'm kind of breaking your heart on the radio, on live too, but I do have to tell you. So Saturday, I got like a memory, like a Facebook memory of 5 years ago. I performed downtown at like the Nathan Phillips Square. They had like an event. There was like 50,000 people, and it was just a picture of me and my band and John Tory, who was the mayor at the time. It was like a festival of India. So we performed there. It was cool. Like it was probably the biggest
Good for
audience.
you, buddy.
No,
Of
but like
course, he has the
yes,
biggest audience,
yeah,
50,000 people.
50,000. It was
Ryan,
crazy. So here's the thing though with that, the other part of that, somebody actually saw that. And they're actually hosting an event this Saturday. And they've actually booked me to actually play like at like Young and Dundas Square this Saturday. And I'm like, first and foremost, I'm like, you and I already have plans. I was like, fuck, this is like such a cool thing. But it was just like that I want everybody to know that like this is something that was from 5 years ago.
oh, so
So
you're
like for
canceling plans on me again?
partially,
Yeah.
yeah. Ask me the doorbell. I'll bring it right now.
Perfect timing for the
Uh
doorbell. Is that
yeah, there we
Amazon?
go.
Is that
Yeah. No,
Amazon
no,
Prime?
it's I'm actually gonna go check that then as we're
Go for it. Go for it. So that was hilarious. All right, everybody. So, not to keep you guys further, but listen, content is everything. The ability to produce content, to put it out, and to drive and really the mindset of your ideal client. There's one thing to remember when you're producing content. Step into the conversation where your prospects are having it now. All right, focus on that. And when somebody goes and searches you or looks you up or whatever, they're going to find content that resonates with them. That's how it's going to create inbound. It does not happen overnight, but it's one of the largest inbound engines to create leads that you can ever use in your business. And even as a logistics salesperson, it works like gold. We're going to be doing some testing over the next couple of weeks, and we hope to bring you some results on it. So we're going to be doing things like running ads to our ideal client profiles and seeing how that works, a couple of bucks a day kind of thing, just to get in front of people, running ads to get in front of people, and then waiting, a couple of days after we know that we've seen the ads and then calling them so they know who you are from the ad on their social feed. There's a couple of different tricks that Ryan and I are going to be doing on creating content and how to develop that content into a lead generation platform for yourself in logistics. So with that being said, I think Ryan is back and we will be heading out of here, buddy.
See everybody tomorrow.
Outro, right? Yeah, the thank you.